to your science class. We are running the chapter Microorganisms, Friend or Foe. And we talked about all the microorganism groups like bacteria, fungi, protozoa, virus and algae. And we also discussed about the usefulness or significance of those microorganisms in our environment as well as in our human lives. Okay, now today we will talk about the harmfulness or how these microorganisms can affect the environment as the human society. So, and the another portion in your chapter, that is the food preservation and nitrogen cycle. So let's get started. So you can see there are 5 circles on the board. So these 5 circles belong to 5 groups of microorganisms you have already understood in your previous classes. So this first circle includes the diseases caused by bacteria. The first one is cholera by the bacteria Vibrio cholerae. The next thing is tuberculosis, and the bacteria responsible for this is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And next is typhoid, and the bacteria responsible for it is Salmonella typhi. I'm repeating again the words that you don't need to memorize each and every scientific names of the bacteria or fungi or the viruses, but you have to learn these names of the names of the diseases. Okay, so these are the common examples of the disease caused by the bacteria. Now let's move on to the next circle, and this circle includes the disease caused by viruses. Yes, polio. Obviously, you got the concepts of polio regarding the polio vaccine and all. And next thing is mumps. Mumps is also a disease problem, causes the problem in our throat region in human obviously, and caused by mumps virus. Polio is caused by polio virus. Okay. AIDS. AIDS is another disease caused by the HIV virus. Okay. Influenza is already we are very familiar with, right? Influenza caused by influenza virus, and the pox. Pox has another virus named vaccinia or variola. Okay. So you don't require to memorize the names, but just memorize the name of the diseases. Okay. And coming to the next circle, and this circle includes the diseases caused by the protozoa group. We are very familiar with the first name, and that is the malaria. So malaria caused by Plasmodium protozoa, and dysentery. Dysentery caused by Entamoeba protozoa. So these two are very common disease caused by the protozoa. Let's move on to the next circle, and this circle includes the disease caused by the fungi. Okay, ringworm and athlete's disease. These are skin irritations or skin disease caused by the fungal growth directly on the skin. So these are also very common and very important regarding the disease caused by the fungi. And the last one is environmental hazards. Algae group is left here. So algae do not cause any kind of human body disease. Algae generally causes the environmental hazards by the overgrowth on the water body, on some buildings, some brick walls, etc. So this cannot cause the diseases in a human body, but these are causing the environmental hazards. So children, these 5 groups, their details and their usefulness and the effectiveness to cause the diseases is very clear to you, I hope. Now we will move on to the food preservation thing. I have made some videos regarding the food preservation, and I hope you will enjoy it. So let's watch the video.
What happens when we keep the leftover food for the entire night? In the morning, we find that it is shed by something new. we can find some fungi growth here. So what to do in such cases? We of course throw it away because the food is now turned into a poison for us. This is by the presence of fungi on it. Microbes anytime can take over our food and release certain substances in it. And these substances are toxic or poison. And hence we can say that the food has turned into poisonous. This gave us the concept of, yes, food poisoning. So now our topic is food poisoning and how to prevent it. So let's begin the tutorial. So what is now food poisoning, or what is the definition of food poisoning? We can say that food poisoning is the ill effect on health caused by consumption of contaminated food. And how does the food get contaminated? Food gets contaminated due to toxic secretions by certain bacteria, fungi, parasites and some pathogens. Consumption of such contaminated food leads to various types of serious illness related to our digestive system. So, how to avoid this contamination? Scientifically, spoiled food is result of chemical reactions. Yes, the powerful microbes bring out some chemical changes on the food, and these chemical changes make the food toxic. We can protect the food from contamination by inhibiting microbial growth or killing the microbes. Well, but how can this killing or inhibiting the microbial growth be achieved? Well, there are several ways for food preservation, and now our topic or concern is food preservation. So let's begin the food preservation procedures. Let's have a glance at some chemical methods of food preservation, like adding lots of salt in the pickle is helpful to preserve the food. This is an ancient method of food preservation that we use at our homes. Adding salt, oil or vinegar can arrest the growth of microbes in the food. Even if a microbe attacks the food, they get killed. So, not only pickles. Now coming to the salt. Salt is also used to preserve meat and fishes. Well, salting of meat and fish followed by drying them in the sun can preserve them for many months. Well, you must have observed the jams and jellies are added with sugar because sugar is also used as a preservative. Sugar also inhibits microbial growth. So these are commonly used to preserve the food at home. But what about at large scale food preservation? Now, let's talk about the large scale food preservation. Well, a few chemicals are there. Yes, there are few chemicals are used at large scale food preservation. Apart from salting, oiling or adding sugar, there are certain chemicals that can be added to the food to preserve it. The most commonly used chemicals include sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite. This prevents the microbial growth. And what kind of food items can be saved by these chemicals? Squashes, fruit juices and fruit jams. Nitrogen is the important essential element for all living organisms. By the synthesis of amino acids, proteins, enzymes, etc. What happens if there is no nitrogen? Root systems and plant growth are stunted. Well, older leaves turn yellow. Decrease in crop production. Soil microorganisms become dangerous. In atmosphere, the concentration of nitrogen is 78%. The circulation or the cyclic movement of nitrogen from the atmosphere, physical or abiotic component to soil biotic component and back into the atmosphere is known as nitrogen cycle. It involves into various steps: nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, number 4, nitrification, next, number 5, denitrification. Well, plants cannot utilize atmospheric nitrogen, so it should be converted into utilizable form, such as ammonia. Number 1, nitrogen fixation. This is the first step of nitrogen fixation or nitrogen cycle. Conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia for living organisms is called nitrogen fixation. This process is carried out by leguminous plants such as groundnut. Even some bacteria can fix atmospheric nitrogen. Examples of that bacteria: Acidobacter, Clostridium, Rhizobium, Nostoc, Anabina. Second, nitrogen assimilation. The process of absorbing nitrates and ammonia into organic nitrogen is known as nitrogen assimilation. This organic nitrogen is transferred into animals' body when plants are eaten by the animals. 3. Ammonification. The process of converting organic nitrogen into ammonia when animals die is known as ammonification. It is also called mineralization. This process was carried out by some saprophytes like fungi and bacteria. Ammonia is also produced from volcanic eruptions and excretory products of animals. The next, nitrification. The bacteria which is involved in nitrification is known as nitrifying bacteria. Ammonia is first converted into nitrites. Examples: Nitrosomonas, Nitrococcus, etc. Nitrites are converted to nitrates. Examples: Nitrobacter. Number 5 and the last, denitrification. Nitrates are converted into molecular nitrogen through nitric oxide, is called denitrification. In order to maintain the equilibrium of nitrogen in the atmosphere, bacteria which are involved in denitrification, known as denitrifying bacteria, are responsible. Examples: Thiobacillus and Pseudomonas, etc. and Micrococcus also. Okay. Problems with increase of nitrogen: acid rain formation,